I swear, if fucking Rachel shows up or any of them, I'm gonna be so
could you
happy.
imagine?
And we are live. And I hope Rachel does show up. That'd be freaking amazing.
But if they do show up, let's pretend that they haven't. Like, if anyone actually does show up, I think we should pretend, like, not make this a live one.
Yeah, no.
Oh, I'm gonna put this in private after. The reason I literally could only make this live
To record
it.
How
So if it was private, I wouldn't be able to record it. So after this goes live, if I remember the DC password, I will put this on the
Like,
please.
Destroy the evidence.
And if you guys are watching live, we're sorry we couldn't work on Skype, and that sucks. But we hope our hardcore listeners are still listening, which is what we were talking about before when we went live. So it's just like that'd be so funny. We did not post this anywhere, and we actually have, which Rachel has helped us do. I don't even know if this is going to be part of the podcast, so who cares?
Yeah, I was about to say, probably not.
Probably not. All right, let's start. 3, 2, 1. Hello, guys. Welcome to the Legends of Tomorrow podcast. And today we are doing episode 3, 4 of our season hiatus. Episode something. And this episode's called Historical Baddies. So this actually was Amy's idea. And we did a lot of homework, except for me.
So much homework, guys. We're like excited about this episode. I'm not gonna lie. This might be like my favorite episode.
I have like a Rebecca level Google Doc where it's like multiple pages. I have sources, you guys. They're cited.
Yeah, they're cited stuff, and let me just tell you, I watched half a YouTube video, and
she's an expert.
I really am. I'm excited. So Morgan and Amy are gonna time themselves as they talk. Don't worry, I won't need a timer.
We're gonna stop ourselves from going on too long. Kat's gonna be like the opposite, where we're gonna be like, is that it?
Like, yep. I'm gonna try finding stuff to talk about. I might repeat myself a lot because I told Amy and Morgan, it's like when you go into that test and you only know 2 or 3 facts, but you have to write like 100 or a 2-page essay, and you're like,
that's great.
I only know those 2 facts.
That'll be me next time. So today we're doing royal baddies. We're going to talk about Caligula, Mary Tudor, Genghis Khan, and Rasputin, who's not technically royal, but is tied to royal history. And we're gonna talk about them because we know that their coins showed up. Technically, the only one we know that's actually in the show as of now is Genghis Khan. So we don't know the extent to which the other 3 will or will not show up. Although, according to Rachel, who is I call her our Raven from King's Landing because she always knows the news.
She does.
There's an episode about heads and a lot of like heads, which sounds Mary Tudor-esque, which you all will know more about when we talk about it. Ooh. Next time we do one of these episodes, we're going to do the murderous baddies, which is all the serial killers, which is totally Kat and Morgan's.
Yes. Oh yeah, we're going to really, apparently the Venn diagram of my interests are like British royalty and serial killers.
It's a wide range.
It's very specific.
Yeah, serial killers, like I could just totally get into them. There are a lot of facts, but it's more about like piecing the mystery, and I love that. So with the royal baddies, it was a lot of like, okay, he was from the 1400s and he conquered this land and that land and that land. And then after the first land, I kind of forgot what he conquered. So I had 3 facts, man. And yes, Genghis Khan is the only one confirmed and the only one you won't have a lot of information on.
That's really fun. I love that. That to me is the funniest part. Like the only one that is actually confirmed to be on the show is the one that you're doing.
It's out of random. It
feels very legendsy to me.
It does. But we do have some comic/TV news about our DC TV shows, which I'll have a little bit more to say than Genghis Khan. So first up is that, and this was for us today when we record this, Brandon Routh's first look as Kingdom Come Superman. And we had the Spider-Man thing happening and this. So this was like the big news. It looked cool. That's all I really have to say. It was very comic accurate and I'm excited. But I feel like a lot of people got like overly excited. Did you guys get overly excited, or are you just like, cool, I can't wait to watch?
I just thought he looked really good. Like,
Yeah.
like he looked good in the role, but he also like looked good. Like, hey, Brandon Routh.
No, that's exactly what I
doing?
thought. I was like, did you and Henry Cavill go on a bro date to the gym? Because y'all are looking great.
Right? I felt like he had like a little bit of like gray at the temple. He like looked a little like distinguished Superman. Like, ooh, Superman, hello.
He's an older Superman, so he had to have a little bit of the gray. And I was wondering, like, is that padded suit, or did he work out? And of course,
he's a very good looking individual, and that suit accentuates the very good looking things about him.
I agree.
He's not hard on the eyes. He's a good looking man.
We're being such girls right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say
we're like, oh, hello.
This is what we focus on, guys. Not just like, oh, the emblem looks cool.
The emblem does look really cool. I also like
cool.
the shadowing of the background of the actual poster. It makes it look a little bit not quite as bright as you would normally expect to see Superman in.
Well, it's also based on an Alex Ross cover from the Kingdom Come comics, which is pretty cool. So like that pose is like based on a cover. But yeah, it looks cool, and Brandon Routh looks even better. But moving on, some more Crisis on Infinite Earths casting news. Yes, we know this is not really Legends related. These next two pieces won't be, but because Legends is going to be involved in Crisis, and we have a hiatus until January, and I don't have a lot to say about Genghis Khan, we're going to talk about this. So, Crisis on Infinite Earths, we have Tom Welling and Erica Durance joining the crew. Michael Rosenbaum not. But then we have some other ones, like the girl who played Huntress on Birds of Prey. I'm trying to think of else.
I'm sorry, I was really excited about that because I got like the Birds of Prey DVDs, and if you want to like get a real throwback to like the early 2000s WB vibe, that show is like just so good. It's like they have one location, they have one street that they're allowed to film on. The budget is amazing.
Oh, it's obviously amazing. I will say the one, and I have seen all Birds of Prey just a really long time ago. Not when it was on air, but like maybe in high school I watched it. And I remember Harley Quinn was in it, but she was really bad. And the one episode I do remember that I really liked was the class reunion. I don't know why.
Yeah, that one was fun.
Yeah, I remember enjoying that. I love when like superheroes go back to high school. I always find like the secret identity stuff really fun.
Like the best animated TV show, superhero show of all time, X-Men Evolutions, when they're on high school.
Yes, it's one of my favorites.
I've never seen that.
Show. Oh my gosh. If you are at all a Jean Grey fan, or
love her,
like Jean and Scott together fan, you need to watch this show. It is my favorite iteration of her that I've seen on screen.
I actually became an X-Men fan, or even just a Marvel fan, from that show. And Kitty Pryde is one of my all-time favorite characters, but that was the reason why, was that show. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Was great in it. Yeah. Even though like she's really nothing like that in the comics. She's like a Valley girl in the show, but I loved it. I loved her development. We do have one viewer, so I don't know how that happened. But thank you guys for watching. We're sorry.
We're unintentionally live.
Apologies.
We apologize. But yeah, going into the Smallville stuff, I mean, that was pretty cool. I think a lot of people called it. I didn't call Lois though, so that was,
well, I didn't call Lois mostly because Erica Durance has been on Supergirl as Supergirl's mother. Mm-hmm. So I feel like it's gonna be, if they don't do like a Supergirl being like, Mom? I really don't know how they plan to hand wave that. We'll find out, I guess.
They're like, wait, you're my cousin's wife? What's this? They got married in the show, right?
What's going on? Yeah.
In the end, the last episode.
Yeah, they got married.
Yeah, they got married. I'm excited for that. Also, it's like weird to see how much, and this is weird to say too, but how much older Tom Welling has gotten. And since he's like a Superman-esque character, like how are they going to explain that away? But obviously no Chloe, thank God. But I love the character of Chloe, but
yeah, but that wasn't gonna happen, and Kristen Crook wasn't gonna happen.
Mm-hmm. Oh man.
Yeah.
Poor Chloe. Poor Chloe. I'm sad for the character of Chloe Sullivan.
Yes, me too. I'm really upset for Chloe.
One of my favorite characters like from way back when. Man, Allison Mack, what did you do?
You now have a Lifetime movie made after you. Good job.
Is there a Lifetime movie?
There literally is a Lifetime movie. I haven't seen it,
Oh
but
my
there's
God.
one made about her.
I
And
need
they
to find it now.
you have to, and there's an actress that they got an actress that looks exactly like her.
That is incredible. Oh man, I'm so excited to find this later on. You have no idea how obsessed I've been with this whole cult unraveling.
I know. Yeah, when those first announced, me and Morgan had a fun chat about it because we're both very big Chloe fans. Yeah, it's very much a shame. But anyways, we're really excited for Crisis, and I hope they have some like characters that are actually a surprise though. That's been like the disappointment. I'm like, I don't want to know all these people. Just like let me be surprised.
Do you think that some of these people are like not even going to have lines? They'll just like show up like looking over their shoulder,
like a la the Infinity War or the end game entrance where they like Superman's come through one portal and the Lois Lanes come through another portal. they all portal in, and then Doctor Strange shows up. He's like, "Oh, sorry, wrong universe."
Oops,
backs out again.
Wrong place.
I would like to see that, but I'm guessing like the Smallville stuff we're gonna get a lot of. But then like Huntress from Birds of Prey, probably not.
I would be surprised.
Yeah, so again, I'm glad they're pulling all the stops for that, and we'll obviously cover that once it gets closer.
And I know the Birds of Prey thing that they were talking about doing the show. They were going to do I saw the words backdoor pilot.
Yes.
Is the backdoor pilot through Crisis?
I don't even know.
Because that would be cool. Like part of the, 5, 10, 15 minutes takes place in their Earth, and all of a sudden they're catapulted into Crisis somehow. I think honestly it's probably too much.
Though. Yeah, I was gonna say
so much is happening in this. I think when Rebecca and I were talking this week about this news, I said like the person I feel bad for is like Oliver Queen, which is a sentence I've never said before and never thought. But like this is supposed to be like his swan song, right? But he's gonna be like overshadowed by all of these like 300 cameos.
But I think, they've done it in the past where a lot of the crossovers have felt Flash or Arrow focused. Like, I feel like they're gonna these cameos are gonna be
cameos,
fast, 30-second boom punch. Superman punches one guy and it flails over to the other guy, and that Superman punches that guy. I don't know. They could punch him through universes. That would be cool.
I think the only one that won't be short is again Tom Welling, just because they've been trying to get him for so long. And also, I would love to see Justin Hartley because he was Green Arrow, and everyone wanted the Arrow show to be about him, and that didn't happen. So that'd be interesting. But let's move on to the next thing, which is the Canaries TV show, which we were kind of, referencing already. But what do we think about this one? Are you guys excited?
Sure.
Yes, no, but I'm reserving judgment until we see how Batgirl goes. I know it shouldn't be, but I feel like we've had a lot of shows introduced recently.
You mean Batwoman?
Batwoman. I'm sorry. I'm gonna do this.
I was like,
time.
Batgirl's gonna be in it. I got really excited, and then I was like,
I'm so sorry.
Right.
I love Birds of Prey. I love Canaries. I love all that stuff. It's a lot. I think if they're going to introduce something, I want something really new. I think that's why Black Lightning worked so well, because it's in the universe, but not really participating in the universe. I think that helps. I don't know. It's a lot. It feels like they're capitalizing on Katie Cassidy, and they're capitalizing on the name. And I always get worried that means the story isn't necessarily gonna fly as well.
Well, also, again, the biggest worry, and I think what made, I already saw the pilot of Batwoman. For me, what made Batwoman fail is that they didn't have to pitch the pilot. They literally just had to make it, and that's it. And it went straight to series. So with Canaries, they don't have to, if they don't have to pitch a pilot, it might not be as good because it's just going straight to series because, Arrow was successful. And then also, like, I think it deters from Arrow. Like, that, and honestly, going back to it, deters from Oliver Queen. Like, I feel bad for this guy. He created this universe, and I think he's being overshadowed by all these other stuff.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
That's I mean, that's my concern as well. It just seems like this should be a very, you would think if it's the end of the Arrow portion of the Arrowverse that they would, I don't know. It's a lot of people is what I'm saying.
Yes, that's what we're all saying, and that's all the news for us this time around, guys. If you want us to talk like general DC TV news again, because I'm sure we'll be getting a lot, and not a lot of Legends news, because again, it's not premiering until January. Let us know.
So much time. So much time will pass.
Yes, we have a lot. And one thing I want to reference, we did get an episode in September, guys. We have 2 episodes in September, like we promised.
I know. We did it. We did it. We said we were going to do it, and then we did it.
We almost didn't, but we did.
That's true. We almost did. Listen, we've lied to you so many times, but this time we told the truth, and I want you to remember this time.
Yeah. So don't blame us.
And hopefully with some really educational, historical.
Exactly. You're gonna
We're
learn
very excited about that, guys. You're gonna learn so much today.
Amy and I, at least, are very excited about it.
Class is now in session.
It is, and
I don't know if that was like a McGonagall voice or what. I just decided to do that.
It was a pretty good McGonagall voice, I thought. I guess I start. So my historical baddie is Mary Tudor, aka Bloody Mary. So I'm going to go ahead and cite my sources at the top. I got a lot of the info that I then put onto my Google Doc from the said true story behind the Bloody Mary mirror legend by Kelsey Miller on Refinery 29. What inspired Queen Bloody Mary's gruesome nickname by Una McLeaver or McVina on history.com. Just went right to the source, history.com. And then The Ghost in the Mirror, The Legend of Bloody Mary Revealed by Alexander Mendings on historycollection.co. Also, obviously, it must be said, the Mary Tudor Wikipedia page has been incredibly helpful. So I actually do know quite a bit about Mary Tudor, but I want it to be like, well, I don't want to get the order of things wrong, and I want to like remember the important bits. So let's just start at the beginning. So Mary was the daughter of King Henry VIII and Catherine of Aragon. You might remember King Henry VIII from his many and varied wives. He had 6 of them. He beheaded 2. He divorced 2, and one managed to survive. So, and one died in childbirth. So that's the rundown of the many wives of Henry VIII. Mary, her mother was married to Henry the longest. They were married for a long time, and then she kept having miscarriages. She had the one daughter and just like a bunch of miscarriages. And Henry was like, daughter's great, but what I really love would be a son. So he decides, I need to get out of this marriage. I need to find somebody who can give me a male heir. So the Pope at the time would not grant his annulment to Catherine of Aragon. He was saying like, well, our marriage isn't really legitimate because she was married to my brother before me. And so that whole thing doesn't work now. I realized that like 15 years in. So I really need an out. So instead of just, being married, he decides, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to break with the Catholic religion. I'm going to make myself as the head of this like Protestant religion. There was like a Reformation kind of going on at the time. People were saying like, why does church have to be in Latin, which most people don't understand? Could we do it in English? And the Catholic religion was like, no, we love the Latin, among other things. So he basically makes himself the head of the Church of England. He says, I grant myself this annulment, and he marries Anne Boleyn, who gives birth eventually to Elizabeth, who would go on to be Elizabeth I of England, a pretty well-known and famous queen. So at that point, Mary gets disinherited from the line of succession and is made a bastard. So not the best of times for poor Mary. She's like, well, that sucks. I had written down that Mary had been engaged many times. She starting at the age of 2. So
wow,
That's too young to engage your child to anyone.
Back then.
Even back then, these were obviously political engagements, but I just think it's funny to be like, yes, 2-year-old, this is your future betrothed.
This is your husband.
So Mary's kind of has some issues her whole life. She's sick and she has like irregular periods and she has depression and especially when she gets, disinherited from the line of succession, not great for her. She gets, instead of being a princess, now she's Lady Mary. To add insult to injury, they put her in the house of her new like half sister Elizabeth, and they're like, take care of her. And she's like, great. Of course, she only had to, and at this point, she's separated from her mother and is never really gets to see her mother again. Her mother gets really sick and she's like, can I go visit? And Henry's like, no. And then her mother dies. Henry's a jerk is the long and short of it. So Queen Anne Boleyn falls out of favor, gets her head cut off. Now, Henry marries Jane Seymour. Now, both Mary and Elizabeth are disinherited when Jane has her son, Edward. But he does eventually add Mary back into the line of succession. And like towards the end of his rule, he calls the act of succession, he puts Mary and Elizabeth after Edward. So Henry VIII dies. Mary's made it through his reign somehow. Her half brother Edward comes to power. He is very Protestant. Mary is very Catholic. So they don't always get along. He's also a child. I don't know how you argue with a 9-year-old, but this is back in the 1500s. Maybe that happened.
9 means 30.
Exactly. Back in the 1500s, he was a middle-aged man with a briefcase at 9. There's a funny thing in the Wikipedia, which I had never read before, but it said when Mary was in her 30s, she attended a reunion with Edward and Elizabeth for Christmas in 1550, where the 13-year-old Edward embarrassed Mary and reduced both her and himself to tears in front of the court.
Oh. You know what? You can relate to modern days. Like sometimes
I know.
Embarrassed.
I was going to be like, first of all, like holidays with your family are always kind of stressful. And also, I don't know if you've dealt with teenagers like before, but they can be really mean. So I kind of felt for Mary here.
Have you felt for Mary throughout this entire journey?
I feel like Mary is, despite being kind of a messed up person, is sympathetic. And I think as we go through her life, she gets more sympathetic and then she gets less sympathetic, definitely. So Edward is very Protestant, Mary's very Catholic. He surrounds himself with a lot of Protestant people who are advising him, but then he gets sick because everybody got sick back then. They got like a cold and that was it. Curtains for them. So on July 6th in 1553, at the old age of 15 years old, Edward dies from a lung infection, maybe tuberculosis. The problem,
or maybe allergies.
Maybe it was a strong ragweed season and just took him out. The problem was before he died, he realized that Mary was going to succeed him, and he was like, "We always get in the worst fights at Christmas, and I'm tired of it." So what he decides to do instead is to contradict that succession act that his father put into place that made Mary and Elizabeth the next in line for the throne. And he says, like, instead, I'm going to name one of my advisors' daughter-in-law who had, a tie to the throne. Her name was Lady Jane Grey. She was the granddaughter of Henry VIII's younger sister, Mary. He's going to name her as his successor because she's super Protestant. He was like, listen, I know she's going to hold it down for me while I'm gone. So right before Edward's about to die, they summon Mary to London. They're like, your brother's dying. He really wants to see you. However, somebody warns her. They're like, listen, this is a plot to capture you and throw you into the tower and facilitate this plot against you. So instead, Mary goes to some other place in England. It doesn't really matter where for these intents and purposes. But
I don't
she
know,
goes,
Morgan. You said you had some really great
I
notes.
know.
Mm.
East Angela or Angelia, where where this guy who is helping out Edward Dudley, he had put down a rebellion over there. So they didn't like him very much. And they were also more Catholic than like some of the other parts. So she goes over there and she's like, they're trying to take my throne. And remember that guy who was a jerk to you? And she rallies an army of like 10,000 to come back with her to get her throne back. So this is really the best part. On July 10th, 1553, Lady Jane is named queen. On July 19th, 1553, Lady Jane is deposed.
No.
So she was
Mhm.
what was
Mary
called the 9 days queen. She made it 9 whole days. That's longer than 1 calendar week, but less than 2.
but wait, did Mary kill her?
Mary didn't kill her because Mary understood that she was essentially like a pawn in this scheme. So she took Lady Jane and her husband and she threw them in the tower, and she was
But
like,
they're dead.
so they are dead, because what happens is later on.
No,
Well,
clarification, Kat. Deposed, as in she was taken off the throne.
yeah,
Oh.
deposed as in
Taken off the
not,
throne, thrown in the
she is-
tower.
Oh, I
yeah,
thought
she-
you
she
meant
is way
like
dead.
she's done. She's disposed of.
No, deposed, not disposed.
Oh, not disposed.
I mean, she is funny you should say that, though. She is later disposed.
Oh no, by Mary?
Yes. So what
Good.
happens is, and not this again, we talk about the line between like knowing that Mary's not the best person and sympathy. One, I believe it was Lady Jane Grey's like husband's father-in-law or something, got involved in this rebellion against Mary. So but when Mary gets crowned, she's 37, which again, I want to say in 1553 was about 104 years old. So she knows that if she wants to like get married and have a kid and really like formalize her rule, she has to move real fast. So she had at one point been I think engaged to her cousin, because again 1500s, Charles the Fifth, I believe, from England, and his son now Philip. She decides she's going to marry Philip.
Spain. Charles V of Spain.
You're right. Charles the Fifth of Spain and Prince Philip of Spain. So she decides she's going to marry Philip. The problem is that everybody kind of hates Philip. A lot of people are
Seems like
not.
everyone always hates
Everybody
anyone
hates
named Philip.
Everybody hates everyone named Philip. It's such a. I'm sorry, Phillips
Sorry,
of
Teddy
the world.
Phillips.
Yes, any
Sorry,
Phillips
Phillips
listening, but we
of the
mean
world.
Royal Phillips.
Royal Phillips. No one likes Royal Phillips. So, some people are like, I don't like him because he's Catholic. And a lot of other people are like, I don't like him because, ew, Spain. So
they're really, honestly, very surface level things.
Yeah.
Like, you're Catholic. Oh, Spanish.
They don't even get to know Philip before they decide they hate him, which I feel like is unfair. Turns out Philip's a little bit of a jerk, so maybe valid. But
and then there's that one person who says, "Yeah, but Philip's a jerk."
Philip's a jerk. So Mary is really into marrying Philip because, again, she's 37, which is 100 cat lady years. So she knows it's not looking good for her as far as like having a baby. So she's trying to push this through. What happens with the Wyatt Rebellion? I know. What happens with the Wyatt Rebellion is that a lot of people are like, we don't like this idea, and we're going to tell her not to do it. It doesn't go well, and it involved the Duke of Suffolk, which was the father of Lady Jane Grey. Which, if your daughter's in jail and like maybe her like fate is hanging on a thread, maybe don't get involved in a rebellion against the one person who can kill her. So once that happens, Mary's like, I guess I have to execute Lady Jane. Goodbye. And that is how Lady Jane got beheaded. So she does behead a lot of these people who do this rebellion against her, because the rebellion doesn't really work. And then she does marry Philip. So under her. Yeah, Philip, that jerk. Philip's never really super into her. It's like that, like he's just not that into you book, but he's like, I guess I gotta do this.
I don't want to be beheaded.
I don't want to be beheaded. And like my dad keeps telling me I have to marry her. She's so old.
Yeah, she's very old. She has those cats.
She is 3,700 years old. She's got so many cats. I don't like it. He is 11 years younger than her, which again, in that time would be like marrying a toddler.
Yes.
Like that's a 11-year age difference back then was probably quite a big age difference. But he's like, okay, I'll do it. He's not happy when her advisors make her put together this act, which basically says that although he's the king of England, he's going to have no actual power. And Mary's got all of the power, and he's only king during Mary's lifetime, which is a bummer for him. At sort of towards the end of Mary's lifetime, he tries to make a play for Elizabeth, like, hey, girl, how you doing? And she's like, not great, go away. So it doesn't work for him either. He was just like, sisters, am I right? And Elizabeth's like, nah, I'm good. I'm real good. So after they get married, Mary, there's a quote I jotted down from Alison Weir, who's an author who wrote in The Children of Henry VIII, starved of affection from her childhood and deprived of the fulfillment of love and children during her adult years, she's ready to lavish all her frustrated emotions on the husband she had acquired so late in life. And so for the first time since she was 10, when her father's eye had first lighted on Anne Boleyn, she was truly happy. This doesn't last long, so let's just marinate in that for a moment. 2 months after she's married, she's pregnant, and she's super happy about it. So September.
She shouldn't. 37 in that day and age.
Yeah.
Cat has a suspicion something's gonna happen here.
I don't know, man. I don't know the how the story ends, but she's kind of old.
She's a little old. Again, she's like 102 in
They had no epidural back then.
Oh, it's gonna be bad. Yeah. I don't know why you would be happy about being pregnant back in the 1500s. Nothing good is gonna happen.
You wore that baby. I don't know how that's gonna.
Oh, modern medicine. We thank you for so much. So it's the September 1553, and Mary's like, oh, I don't have my period, and I'm gaining all this weight. I'm pregnant. It's the best. So everybody's like, yeah, of course. These all make sense. She's definitely pregnant. So she goes into her confinement like in May, around the time of her due date, which I mean, I'm assuming that 1500 due dates were not so exact. So when she sort of blows past that due date, everyone's like, we miscalculated. We're so silly. So then it's June.
It wasn't 9 months. It's only 4.
So then it's June, and she's like, cool. And then it's July, and then she's like, ooh, why isn't this baby coming? And then it's August, and she gives up. It turns out she wasn't pregnant. It was a false pregnancy. I have this from one of the articles. It said this incident remains history's most notorious and well-documented cases of false pregnancy. It's a complex and mysterious condition, but the short version is that a person can be so convinced in their convicted in their desire for a child that the mind tricks the body into thinking it's pregnant and acting accordingly.
That sounds like some Freudian.
Sounds nuts, right?
Right there.
It said, hormones shift, menstruation stops, and the belly grows. Today, false pregnancies are usually diagnosed early on thanks to ultrasounds, as one would hope. But the condition still exists.
The mom's like, no, I don't want one. Why not? No.
I want an ultrasound.
And so this stat, like I can't testify to the veracity of this stat because I just pulled it out of that article, but it said conditions still exist occurring between 1 and 6 out of every 22,000 pregnancies. So still pretty rare, but apparently it could happen, which is crazy.
Wasn't there also a rumor that Mary had stomach cancer?
Yeah, so some think that it could be that false pregnancy. Other people think it could have been a stomach tumor,
That makes sense,
stomach
honestly.
cancer, or early signs of uterine cancer, or maybe like an ovarian cyst.
Because she also gained all that weight.
She gained that weight, and apparently she was always pretty slender. Suddenly she's like gaining weight, and she like it's very strange. There was enough signs for her. It wasn't just like she was like, I really want a baby and I shall have one. Like there was
It's like-
signs that she would think that she was pregnant. And so it's a very kind of a, again, tragic story where she's sitting there waiting for this baby that she really wants because it's going to secure her line, and then nothing. Oh, I must say, right after she leaves her confinement and she's like, okay, I guess I'm not pregnant, Philip's like, yeah, it's been real, and just takes on off. So he's sort
Philip.
of in and out after that, which is, again, Philip's not great.
No, he definitely isn't. We actually have a comment from Ashley who says that was a Glee storyline. LOL. Oh man,
That's the best.
gotta watch that Glee.
Thank you, Ashley. I'm gonna watch that episode of Glee. Maybe this is where they got it from. That's so great. Okay, so now we're taking us straight into the Bloody Mary nickname. Why is she called Bloody Mary if her story is so sad and she's really not killed anybody who seemingly hasn't deserved it? Okay, well, she was super into being Catholic, like super into being Catholic. You know how some people are like,
She loved Jesus.
yeah, like super into like cats and stuff.
Yeah.
She was super into being Catholic. It probably didn't help that the whole Protestant Reformation in a lot of ways ruined her life, because it, broke up her parents' marriage, got her disinherited and re-inherited and disinherited and re-inherited. So it kind of just made her more and more like hardline Catholic, like everyone has to be Catholic. If you're not Catholic, you're a heretic. And at the time, England was really divided between the Catholics and the Protestants. But she was determined that everyone was going to come back to the church. It was time. They'd all been crazy, and they tried out that Protestant thing. It was their Rumspringa. They're coming back to the Catholic Church. Turns out not a lot of people really wanted to do that once they decided they were Protestant. So shortly before Christmas in 1554, she's going to sign an act which would incite a legendary series of executions known as the Marian persecutions. This act is called the Heresy Acts, and they're basically acts that say, if you're a heretic, we're going to burn you. I titled this section, burn heretics burn, Protestant Inferno, because that's basically what she did. Under the Heresy Acts, so many Protestants were executed. Around 800 rich Protestants just got out of there. They were like, this is bad.
I don't like this Mary.
No, not great. An estimated 240 men and 60 women were condemned as Protestant heretics and burned at the stake. So Alison Weir says most were popular preachers and artisans and farm laborers or poor ignorant folk who could not recite the Lord's Prayer or did not even know what the sacraments were. So these weren't all wealthy Protestants because a lot of them had long since fled. So the next bit, I have to say, I don't know, maybe content warning. This is pretty dark. I first heard it, I was watching a YouTube video about Mary just to refresh my memory. And it was like evil women of history. And the historian said this thing, and I said, that can't be right. And then I read it in another article and I said, that can't be right. So then I looked it up, and I guess apparently this is right. So it said, this one woman, her name was Petroni Massey of Guernsey, was pregnant at the time that she was burned alive. Her baby was born as she was burning.
Whoa.
And I guess kind of leapt out of her burning body. And then they picked up the baby and they were like, well, what do we do with this baby? And one of the guys was like, I don't know, throw it back in the fire. And that's what they did.
Oh my
No way.
Yeah. There's, as it turns out, you guys, there's a wood carving. Are you in the Google Doc? Because I'm going to throw it in there. It's truly disturbing.
Morgan's like, if I had to see it, you're
saw
gonna
it,
see it.
and now you will all see this. It's
God.
There's literally if you look up, I believe I did put the source down because I still don't believe this is a thing that could possibly happen.
It's in a
But
newspaper of some
if you
sort.
Wikipedia the Guernsey martyrs, that's what you're gonna find.
Wow.
Unsurprisingly, this did not make her extremely popular. I don't know why. One of the more famous people that she burned alive was Thomas Cranmer, who was the Archbishop of Canterbury during the time where where Mary's mom and Henry were divorced. So he was the Archbishop of Canterbury that divorced her parents. So she was real mad at him. So even though he had recanted his religion and he said, I'm not Protestant anymore, I'm coming back to the Catholic faith, under their normal processes of law, he should have been absolved as a repentant. Mary, however, was like, nah, I'm good, and still made him burn alive. So she was also a little petty about it. So she killed about 300 people and burned them all as heretics. So that's why her nickname is Bloody Mary. Unsurprisingly, this gave her a not that great legacy. I did find an interesting article that said, she's viewed very negatively, but it's kind of like one of those "the history is written by the winners" things, because obviously after she dies, the Protestant Elizabeth I takes over, and from there on, England becomes very Protestant. It's still under the Church of England, et cetera, et cetera. So they pointed out that Mary's father, Henry VIII, executed 81 people for heresy, but he doesn't seem to have that same sort of Bloody Mary like nickname. And one of the reasons that people look at her so negatively, not that you should burn people alive, that's generally not great, is that there was a Protestant named John Fox who had a book called The Acts and Monuments, which was also kind of his Book of Martyrs, which is where that delightful wood carving came from of the baby leaping out of its mother in the fire. And it was a detailed account of each and every martyr who died for his or her faith under the Catholic Church. And as you would expect, it said in the first edition, 30 out of the 57 illustrations depict executions under Mary's reign. So people reading that book were like, man, she was messed up.
She was.
Yeah. So towards the end of her life, Philip comes to visit again in 1557. Mary's like, yes, I'm pregnant again. She's super psyched about it. But it turns out
again, you weren't pregnant
she
the
was like,
first time.
It's happening. It's finally happening. I know it doesn't make sense because I'm now in my 40s and it's 1553.
And also he wasn't there for the last year.
Wow.
Yeah, he hasn't really been around, but he did visit that one time. So I'm definitely pregnant.
Definitely.
Turns out it was menopause, so that's a bummer for her. So she gets really weak and ill around
because
May.
of menopause.
Because of menopause, watch out, ladies. It's tough. Around May 1558.
I'm getting so hot. I must die now.
The flashes, the hot flashes. They think that she might have had ovarian cysts, uterine cancer, stomach cancer, something. They're really not sure, but she dies.
Must have been something a little bit more than
or
menopause.
Just a very, very strong hot flash. She dies on November 17th in 1558 at the very old age of 42.
I mean, that is a very old age back then.
Ancient, really. And from then on, the line then passes to Elizabeth, who I think we all know is Virgin Queen during Shakespeare's time.
That first one, that first Elizabeth.
Elizabeth I, the OG. So
she made a lot of a lot of people liked making houses because of her. A lot of artwork.
So much art.
Yeah.
So I was also interested in how that Bloody Mary. I'm sure you've heard the Bloody Mary folklore legend, the thing where you you go in the bathroom and you turn off the lights and you look in the mirror and you say Bloody Mary, a couple of times, and then Bloody Mary appears, and then et cetera, et cetera. I don't know.
I didn't think that was about her though. I thought
we were never clear on what was going to happen after Bloody Mary appeared.
You don't know what. So supposedly after what happened to Bloody Mary, she'd show up in the mirror.
And that was it? Was that we were never really sure what was going to happen?
Oh,
we did it.
Scared.
I mean, we did it at sleepovers, but we were like, what's going to happen?
But I thought it wasn't about her. I thought it was about, or maybe this is another legend that I saw on Ghost Whisperer once, where that girl was in the ground and there was a bell and she was actually alive and you were calling her.
So I think that there's several different theories about where that folklore came from. And one of them is that it is Mary Tudor, and some of it is that it's different Mary, like a different Mary. I don't know who that one is, but that sounds. I'm gonna be googling that later.
Yeah,
that
you
sounds
should.
really scary. But I was like, well, what's this whole thing about like looking in a mirror in the bathroom? It's creepy. I get it. Like the lights out is creepy. So I was like, well, where'd that legend come from? This is amazing, and it's my favorite thing. So it's called I can't even pronounce it. Catopatromancy or something like that, which is it's a divination using a mirror. But basically, they said historically it was a ritual that encouraged women to walk up a flight of stairs backward, which you should not do, ladies. You should not do that. That's dangerous. Holding a candle and a hand mirror. Again,
Shit.
all this is very dangerous.
I think whoever wrote this wanted these women to die.
To die, right? Wait,
it wasn't
we're not even
backward.
through it.
Oh my God.
Candle and a hand mirror up a flight of stairs backwards in a darkened house because you don't want the lights on at that point, right? But wait, as they gazed into the mirror, they were supposed to be able to catch a view of their future husband's face. So, ladies, it's all worth it because you're going to get to look at your future husband. Wait, but there's more. There was, however, a chance that they would see a skull or the face of the Grim Reaper instead, indicating that they were going to die before they would have a chance to marry. Really, the largest tragedy of a woman's life.
Oh my God, that just got worse and worse. Because again, all right, you're walking backwards, fine, you might stay alive. But then you have a candle in your hand. If you drop something, that house is going on fire. And then they're saying, you know what? If you don't have a man in your life,
and you don't have a man, you might as well just meet the Grim Reaper. He's a man that'll care about you.
You should just die.
You might as well just die. That made me laugh so hard. The idea of these like ladies with the candle in the hand mirror walking backwards, going like, Bob?
Is that you, future husband?
I hope that's you, future husband. And then my last bit about a girl Bloody Mary is where you can see her in pop culture, which is she's mostly a villain in these like period pieces, like the beginning of Elizabeth, or like there's actually a movie called Lady Jane, which has Helena Bonham Carter and Carrie Ilways. It's basically like it's not at all historically accurate, but it's kind of like a tragic historical rom-com if like rom-coms ended with beheadings. But she appears in that movie because obviously she's the one who's like, goodbye, guys. And they're like, but we just learned to love. But she's also, I think most notably, she's played by Sarah Bolger, or Bolger, I think, in The Tudors. Mm-hmm. It's probably one of the most sympathetic portrayals of her in any media, because Sarah Bolger is great. And also we're seeing her before she's burning people alive, like sort of during the time when Henry's just being terrible to her. So you feel really bad for her and you just try not to remember all those people she murders. She also makes an appearance in one of my favorite book series of all time, the Lyman Chronicles by Dorothy Dunnett. And she's in Wolf Hall by Hilary Mantel. And then there's tons of nonfiction books if you are interested in that. The one I talked about, The Children of Henry VIII by Alison Weir. There's apparently one called Mary Tudor, England's First Queen by Anna Whitlock. Mostly I just Googled Mary Tudor books and you'll find some. They will be more historically accurate than what I just told you. And that is the sad story of Mary Tudor.
I will say the only thing I remember learning in high school, because I guess I didn't have the best history teacher, he referenced saying that Mary Tudor and Elizabeth's relationship was like going down a banister with knives on it. And that's all I learned about Mary Tudor.
That is really good. That is really good. They did have a very fraught relationship. She threw Elizabeth in the tower a couple times because she thought Elizabeth was involved in various plots to like kill her or overthrow her because she was Catholic and Elizabeth was Protestant. So there were a lot of forces, like people who wanted like go back to the Protestant good days were sort of like, well, what if we just put Elizabeth on the throne instead? So Elizabeth got a lot of the backlash from that and would just like end up thrown in like jail for a little while, but she always managed to not get beheaded, which I think is to her testament.
That's really the story right there, is that at least she didn't get beheaded. And I mean, like looking back at it, there was a female queen. Like, what wasn't she like one of the first? Well, at least in the England's royal family, was she like the first actual queen in rule?
Margaret of Anjou gave them a lot of trouble during the War of the Roses, which is prior to this time period by a couple of generations. That's Henry V. Prior to Henry V, actually. That's what if you watch The White Queen, that's where that takes place. And technically she was not queen, but she was the wife of the Henry at the time, who actually might have been Henry V. I'm getting it all confused.
There's so many Henrys.
There's so many. I was telling Mike today. I was kind of trying to explain who Mary was, and I was like, back in England, there were only like 5 women's names. It was like you were Mary or Elizabeth or Anne or Jane or Catherine. That's all you had. Those are the choices that were available.
Well, at least as Elizabeth, like you could be short for Betty. You know, there's some nicknames you could have.
They called her Bess. Bess was her nickname.
Yeah.
Come here, Bets. Oh man, that was a good story, Morgan.
Thank you.
If she shows up in Legends, I love this idea of the mirror thing. I love them being on the Wave Rider.
I love
Everything
that.
goes dark. They're out and they start to see her everywhere.
Oh my god! And like all the like the reflective parts of the ship, she's just like showing up.
But
that'd be
like
cool.
that's her. I don't know. Maybe her soul hasn't found a body yet, and she's like looking for one, and she's trying to find who is the, I don't know, most Catholic.
Who's the most Catholic of them all?
I don't know. That's really difficult to say. But
Who's the most Catholic? That's amazing.
I wonder. Let's ask that question though. Who is the most Catholic on the ship?
I don't know. Who feels?
I think that's getting into a discussion we should table.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah, I think it'll be fun though to do more of a horror episode.
Yeah. Ooh, would that be fun?
Cool. So I guess we could do Genghis Khan, but since I wonderfully enjoyed the, or I forgot her name.
Oh my gosh.
The story of that woman who was in the mirrors. Mary.
Good old Mary in that mirror.
Good old Mary. In that mirror. Bloody Mary. I didn't want to say Mary because again it felt like more of like a generic name. It's like, it can't be Mary.
It can't be Mary. It's always Mary. There's
always
500 Marys.
So don't worry, Genghis Khan will be very short. But then our next episode, we were going to do serial killers, but I think we're going to do it in 2 parts. So maybe we'll do 2 episodes in October. That's not being promised. We only promised this one. But yeah, so we'll do the other royal baddies. And do you think we could add the serial killers? How many serial killers do we have?
I don't know. How many?
There's at least Charles Manson.
I want Charles Manson.
Oh, you can get Manson. I don't actually. I know a little bit about Manson, but not as much as I was about to say as I should. But I don't. I feel like you don't really need to know that much about Charles Manson.
I just want to shit on once upon a time in Hollywood. Like that's gonna be the whole segment. It's just me shitting on that movie.
Incredible. I'm in.
Yeah. And what are the other ones?
I don't remember. I had it written down. And I don't have it with
Rachel,
me.
let us know in the email.
Is it Bundy?
Oh man.
Well,
I don't want Bundy.
I mean, if you want to do Khan and finish off this half of the episode, I can do the next episode. It's just gonna be all me.
Hey, that's cool. We'll just commentate like I did with Morgan. That's cool. Okay, so I actually found a list of 10 facts you didn't know about Genghis Khan. So we're gonna read them.
Sweet.
His real name was not Genghis. So I'm not going to read his real name because I can't pronounce it. And then he had a rough childhood. Well, one thing that is interesting is that he did come from upbringing that was more modest. And obviously he's a ruler that ruled a lot. So he gained his power, which is interesting. He also created the Silk Road. So he ended up creating trading, which obviously is very important today and very important in the past. But he also killed 40 million people. So if you thought Mary killed a lot of people.
300 doesn't seem that bad now. Sorry, Mary. Sorry I judged you.
He killed 40 million. Then there's no actual record of what he looked like. So you're looking for a picture.
Why did he kill 40 million people? Kat, you can't just
Dude,
say he killed 40
I'm just
million
saying
people.
he killed 40 million people because he wanted to rule a lot of stuff.
and you can, you can rule a lot of stuff if there's no one there.
Oh my gosh, Kat, you are that teacher in high school who's like, here's the bullet points. Go Google it.
I'm running down.
Google it for
I'm
yourself.
running down the list, man. It's gonna be great. There's gonna be some really.
Oh,
There's
this is
gonna be
the
some.
best.
There's gonna be some facts you really don't know about Genghis Khan. Some of his most trusted generals were former enemies.
Oh, how about that?
Sounds like
he
Game
can,
of Thrones.
so he can make a friend though. That's good.
Yeah, no, you know what? He loved redemption, and that was him. He rarely left a score unsettled, but even though he did like redemption, he's like, screw you guys. This has something to do with the Silk Road. So Genghis had offered the Shah a valuable trade agreement to exchange goods along the Silk Road, but when his first emissaries were murdered, he was enraged and responded by unleashing the full force. So I'm guessing anytime Genghis didn't get his way, he killed 40 million people. So yes, Amy, that is the reason why he killed all those people, is because he got really angry really quickly. Oh, here we go. He was responsible for the deaths of as many as 40 million people. This is the paragraph. While it's impossible to know for sure how many people perished during the Mongols' conquest, many historians put the number at somewhere around 40 million. Census from the Middle Ages show that the population of China plummeted by tens of millions during Khan's lifetime, and scholars estimate that he may have killed a full 3/4 of modern-day Iran's population during his war with empire. All told, the Mongols' attacks may have reduced the entire world population by as many as 11%.
Oh my God.
I'll also say that history.com also doesn't know why he killed all these people.
11% of the entire population.
We don't know why, though. He got really angry.
The whole population of the whole world.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
He wanted to trade with some people. They disagreed. He got pissed off. And then next up is he was tolerant of different religions. So unlike Mary, he was cool with the Christians, he was cool with the Muslims, he was cool with the Buddhists, but he wasn't any of those religions. I don't know what religion.
What religion was he?
It started with an M. When I watched that video,
It's so detailed.
Yeah, we're gonna move on. He created one of the first international postal systems. So when he was trading away, you also got some nice stamps. So along with the bow and the horse, the Mongols' most potent weapon may have been the vast communication network. So he loved to communicate with people, especially his enemies. No one knows how he died or where he's buried. So if you look at the mirror and you say Genghis Khan, he might show up.
Genghis Khan. You
shows
go
up.
into a dark bathroom. Actually, no. What I want you to do is go up a staircase backwards with a candle and a mirror. And if you say Genghis Khan 3 times, you're going to see the face of your worst enemy.
Yes, but issue is that it's
Who
always going
becomes
to be
a friend?
who becomes a friend in the end.
Becomes your best friend.
Who might want to trade some candy with you. But don't accept the candy. You don't accept candy from Genghis Khan. But I will also
don't do it, kids.
Don't do it. I will also say that you might not see his face because, again, we don't know what he looked like. So it might be really blurry.
I feel like you got the easiest one because they don't know any facts about him.
And neither do I. So the Soviets tried to snuff out his memory in Mongolia. So those Soviets, when the Cold War was going on, they were like, you know what? We have to up the Americans. We're going to learn everything there is about Genghis Khan. They couldn't. They never did. They wanted to go to space, and they want to learn stuff about Genghis Khan. Those are 2 things that the Soviets wanted to do, and they accomplished neither of them.
That's rough. That's rough for them.
Yeah. So as you guys can see, those are 10 facts about Genghis Khan. And honestly, what we want to see from Legends is the answers. We want to know everything.
What if Legends answers all these age-old questions about Genghis Khan? Like, what religion was he in? Where is he buried? What did he look like? Why did he kill all those people? Who was his best friend and his worst enemy?
No,
They're like, it's Steve.
it's Steve and the Soviets.
And the Soviets.
Guys, I
Wow.
hope you learned a lot from this episode.
I learned an incredible amount.
I honestly glad I found that website. I found it while we were on. If I didn't find that website, I would have been lost. I would have been saying, hey, he created the Silk Road.
You all are definitely going to pass your 16th century English royal history. Y'all will desperately fail ancient history with Professor Calamia.
Yeah, you know what? If I get your essays, I'll just say everyone's wrong because I don't know what's going on. So,
to be fair, I know absolutely nothing about serial killers. I don't even know what time period Charles Manson is
get
from.
ready, guys.
Can I just tell you that Ashley, again coming in clutch, says that the other serial killers was John Wayne Gacy and Lizzie Borden.
Ooh, I'm looking forward to Lizzie Borden.
Yeah, that could be fun. Oh, I think that gives me John Wayne Gacy by default, and that's going to be dark.
Damn. That's going to be a cool episode. So
that's going to be a fun one.
Look forward to that. I think we're actually going to get that other episode to you sooner than later. So sometime in October, guys.
It's going to be spooky for Halloween.
Yeah, so hopefully the serial killers will actually have like closer to Halloween. So that'd be really cool.
Our next episode will be the Royal Baddies Part 2, which will be Caligula and Rasputin, which I think is basically just me.
We're going to be color commentators on that one.
Oh, goodness. I'm excited. As you could tell, I commentated really well on this one. So
you really did.
I hope that you guys at least had a good laugh with us because that's really what all Legends is about. So, yeah, hopefully you guys had a good time. We're going to see ourselves out and then you'll see us again. We'll see each other literally after this show, but you'll see us in like a week or two and not see us because you'll hear us. So thank you guys. We're going to see where you can find everyone. So Morgan, what would you like to plug?
You can find me in the bathroom saying Bloody Mary into a mirror. But you can also find me on Twitter at MojoSastic, same on Instagram. And you can find me as a co-host on Supergirl Radio, where we're doing some character spotlights and getting ready for the show to start back up, which, unlike Legends, is starting back up soon.
So do you prepare for those, right?
We do. This was an exciting little like what's a day in the life of Rebecca Johnson like? Because my Google Doc was like several pages, and I had like as I showed you guys, I had pictures. I found pictures, horrifying pictures, to share with the class. Rebecca does.
I have fired from.
I know. I have
a teacher after showing that picture.
Yeah, like the kids definitely went home crying after my lesson with the baby jumping out of the fire and then promptly being thrown back in. I have a newfound respect for Rebecca after having put together like just this little document, basically which was a copy and paste of Wikipedia. It took a lot longer than I thought. Good job, Rebecca, for doing all that work on Supergirl Radio, where I just kind of show up.
I'm excited for the new. Well, I can't say I'm excited for the new season of Supergirl. I'm excited for your commentary.
We're all hoping for the best for the new season of Supergirl. Let's put it that way.
All right. So, Amy, where can everyone find you?
Y'all can find me on Twitter, Amy__Marie97. On Instagram, Amy_Marie97. You can also find me in a play locally here in San Diego, Sense and Sensibility, which is going to be a lot of fun, where I have been told by actual British people that I have a really good British accent, which was really cool. Our dialect coach was very happy with my British accent,
Amy,
which I'm not going to do right now.
Oh, man. I was going to say, I want to put you on the spot and ask you to do some British.
No.
The whole next episode will be in British.
Oh gosh, I might actually do that.
Do it, man.
Yes.
Yeah, all of Rasputin in an English accent, even though he's Russian. So you can find me in Sense and Sensibility. The final weekend in October through the third weekend in November in Escondido, California. I will post ticket information and link on my page. It is really going to be a spectacular show. If you are at all a Jane Austen fan, you should come just for the costumes. And that's about it for now.
Cool. And yeah, for me, you could find me at Comic Uno, and my YouTube channel is Comic Uno, and my writing at Newsarama. And also every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, we have actually a new show, not Frontline Live. It's called Comic Book Weekly, and we talk comic book news and our favorite comics of the week. So definitely go check that out. So thank you guys, and stay legendary.